The Pocket 3, the Action 5 Pro, and merging them into the ultimate action camera for DJI, and that's exactly what you have with the Osmo 360. This packs a big punch. It's giving us some stuff we've never seen in a 360 camera before, and there's some concerns I have. Let's talk about this. All right, full disclosure, guys, I'm not paid or sponsored by DJI in any way, shape, or form for this video. I don't even get to keep the camera. It goes right back to them after this video, okay? So these are my thoughts and my thoughts only. However, for those in Singapore, I will be doing a live stream with DJI, and I'll be talking about a lot of their different products, the Pocket 3, the Action 5 Pro, and of course, the Osmo 360. So I do want to put that out there, full disclosure. This is going to be a first impressions video. I'm not going to do a comparison to the X5 because I believe I'm still using pre-production firmware on this. The DJI Studio app on the desktop is still not 100% in my opinion. I'm going to wait a little bit, let the dust settle, let the firmware updates come, and then I'll do a proper comparison when it's ready to give you guys the idea of which camera to go for depending on your needs. With that said, let's talk about the Osmo 360. I've had this for a couple of weeks right now, and I got to tell you, this has been a really enjoyable camera to use. First and foremost, I like the size of this thing. It's a square size, very similar to the GoPro 360 camera. The X5 is a bit more longer in shape. This is very compact, very easy to carry around with you. In terms of weight, this is coming in 183 grams. So it is quite lightweight for a 360 action camera. I believe it's one of the lightest ones on the market, if I'm not mistaken. And you get 105 gigabytes of internal storage. I know there was leaks that said 128 gigabytes. For my information here, and what I see on the display here, it's 105 gigabytes of internal storage, which still makes it more than the Action 5 Pro, right? So I would say this is gonna be more than enough for most of your recordings out there, unless you're doing something very, very long, like a long road trip or motorcycle trip, or you're documenting an event that's gonna be hours and hours long. I think you're gonna be okay with this. As a matter of fact, I've had this for the past couple of weeks. I've taken it to the World Aquatics Championships, recorded there. I've done motorcycle rides with this. I've never put a micro SD card in this once, and I still have plenty of space on this left, so keep that in mind. And I'm shooting an 8K all the way through. The battery life on this, you're getting 1950 milliamp batteries in this, and when you get the Explorer pack, you do get 2 extra batteries, so keep that in mind, which is a very good attribute to that. Gives you more battery juice, and these batteries are higher capacity batteries. The battery life, I've had no issues at all with it as well. There's never been a time where I've run out of juice. I mean, I've used it on various different occasions, and I would just turn it off, put it back in my bag, turn it back on, and ride and do whatever I wanted to do, and it was fine, no issues. We haven't talked about the sensor, have I? The sensor tech is a little confusing. I don't know exactly at the time of this recording what it is. Based on some video that was released early, I believe the person said 1/1.1 inch sensor, but I believe it's rectangular, but the way that the DJI is using the sensor, it's square, it's a 1 inch, sort of gives you the image quality of a 1 inch HDR sensor. So again, I don't know all the details on that, but I will tell you the image quality is absolutely fantastic, and it's 10-bit color. You can shoot in D-Log M, you're gonna be great with this. And I was grading this, trying it out in the DJI Studio, grading the colors, adding some filters to it, and I was really surprised by how much I can recover from the highlights and shadows. As a matter of fact, I just been shooting in D-Log primarily most of the time. I just don't even mess with anything else, because why do you need to mess with anything else? D-Log is where you wanna go. It's very easy to color grade. If you're in the Mimo app, you press one button, it adds the natural colors to it, and you're off and running, and it looks awesome. Let's talk about low light video for a second. There's no setting inside the camera to do low light. For example, other camera systems, they have let's call pure video or something like that, right? This doesn't have anything. I guess they're relying on the 1.9 aperture out of this camera system, as well as the equivalent to a 1 inch sensor in terms of its readability. So you're gonna get better low light performance than you're gonna get out of other action cameras. Again, software, AI, all that kind of stuff comes into play to make things look better. I will tell you, out of this, it looks pretty good. By the way, there's plugins for Premiere if you're a Premiere editor. I'm a Final Cut editor. No love from DJI thus far for a plugin, but maybe there'll be one in the future. Who knows? But low light, no issues at all with it. And I would say when I do a full comparison versus the X5, I think you guys will be impressed by both cameras and how they handle low light. And especially with this as well, with the 1 inch sensor and being 10-bit color, it does give you a little bit more flexibility when you are grading and doing things like that. But we'll get into all that into another video. Let's talk about Adventure Pack. You're gonna get the invisible stick here. It's a 1.2 meter invisible stick. You get this new clip that I have not seen before. And it's a magnetic clip that you've seen on the Action 5 Pro or something like that, but it's also got a hinge here. So you can actually adjust the camera with this hinge. No longer do you need that sort of that standard hinge with the screw that you tighten in the side of it. That's gone with this, which is a really welcomed addition. Let me just screw this on for you so you can see it real quick, how it looks. But this is a really nice option here. See that? That's a really nice option. And you can just press a button in the back and you can adjust it accordingly with this, which is really cool. So hats off to DJI for adding something like this in. Very, very nice. And by the way, if you've got some like Ulanzi accessories like this cold shoe mount or whatever the case may be, you can attach that here too. Let's talk about audio really quickly because you can sync up your DJI mics to this respectively. You have 2 transmitters that you can sync up to it. And also you can do backup recordings with the internal mic on this as well, just in case something happens, you have a backup, and the mics inside of this are actually really, really good. So let's talk about one concern I have with this camera system. And it was something that I asked DJI about at the time of this recording. I don't have a lot of information, so maybe there'll be more by the time this video is released, or maybe somebody else has it. That you can't replace the lens it's yourself if you damage it, scratch it, whatever it may be, drop it, break it, you know what I mean? You can't replace it yourself. You have to send it off to DJI to do it, from what I understand. I don't know if it's covered under their DJI Care, if that's what it's called, or their sort of warranty or insurance policy. I'm not too sure about that. And I don't even know the cost. But there are transparent lens guards that you can purchase separately, which I think are great. And I would recommend buying those immediately so you don't scratch or damage these lenses. Because if it does cost a lot of money, it's going to be a little bit of a pinch. However, my recommendation to DJI, perhaps in the near future, if they want to redo this sort of the adventure package that they have, is while they've got the stick and the mount here and this rubber lens guard and the batteries and a cleaning cloth, it would be great if they included those transparent lens guards inside of it. Even if the package was like $20 or $30 more, I think most people would really appreciate that because, again, you don't want to damage this, right? I mean, it's a beautiful looking camera. It looks great. It's robust. It's durable. It's got water resistance to it, but you don't want to damage the lenses because they protrude out and they're very easy to damage or scratch if you set this on a surface and you forget to put this lens guard on. At least with those protectors inside the box, that alleviates, you know, some potential damage right out the gate. That's just my opinion. Maybe they'll do that in the near future, but if they don't, just get those things immediately. What else? I did mention some of the accessories. There's going to be a lot of bundles coming out from DJI, from what I understand. Motorcycle bundles, cycling bundles, underwater bundles. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool accessories, neck mounts, helmet mounts. They're really getting into this. I haven't tried it with other brands' accessories, but I would say with a lot of action cameras, they are quite universal to some degree. So keep that in mind that you may be able to, you know, use other pieces out there. So if the DJI doesn't have it, you can buy something online. I don't know. I mean, again, we'll find out. I'll do a full review, trying other accessories, doing all this. But I will say DJI is really kind of building up the ecosystem in terms of accessories for the 360 camera. And I think in a few months' time, or even a year's time, it's going to be much more than it is today. A couple of things to talk about real quick here on the DJI desktop app. You can keyframe, you can do a lot of things like that. There's a lot of great things in there in terms of color grading and filters. You can tell DJI is concerned about image quality first and foremost, and they give you a lot of tools. I don't see any motion blur enhancements like you see on other software out there from other companies. Not yet. Maybe it'll come in an update. Who knows? But that's something that I did notice there, but you can adjust the image quality. Of course, you can do log profiles, all that stuff. There's a lot there you can play with, and there's a plugin for Premiere as well, but not for Final Cut, as I mentioned, unfortunately. Maybe they'll do that in the future. DJI, we like to use Final Cut too. Give us Final Cut users a chance, or even DaVinci Resolve for that matter. Color grading on DaVinci Resolve, I bet you, is even better than Premiere, but maybe they got to deal with Adobe, who knows. That's pretty much it, guys. Those are my first impressions of the camera system. Again, I will be doing a more full review in the future whenever the dust has settled, firmware updates have come into play. I'm using production software, desktop, and for the camera itself. But right now, these are my first impressions. And with that, guys, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Any questions you have, I'll try to answer those for you. Again, this camera does a lot, 4K 120 or 4K 100. It does selfie mode, single lens mode. I mean, you got a lot of options here. Boost mode. There's a lot to get through. But I will tell you this, if you're a DJI fan and you're thinking, do I pick this up or the Action 5 Pro? This does single lens too, and it does 360, and it's got more storage, and it's got a bigger sensor. This is gonna be a tough battle between these two. This has pros to it, and this has pros to it. But this is really impressive. And me personally, I might go with the Osmo 360. That's it, like, subscribe. I'll chat to you all very, very soon. Take care.